of October. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. This is your Frontier opening bell from Frontier Africa Reports. I am boasting Omofai. Get a snapshot of Thursday's trading day. The Nigerian stock market after Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday advances. The market bucked that trend yesterday, down by roughly 0.5%, as Boa Cement, the second largest cement maker in the country and listed on the exchange, fell on the trading day. We saw a couple of other declines as well, but the banking sector escaped that by 1.1%. The sole index gainer on Thursday, the insurance stocks fell by 1.0%. Airtel Africa was the most traded stock by turnover value, roughly 600 million. We're on the lookout for Airtel Africa's latest earnings, as early as next week as we step into the month of November after Monday's trading day, wrapping up effectively the first month in the fourth quarter of the year. If you look at the rest of the trading day for Thursday, the Egyptian market finished in Cairo very nicely, around 4% to the upside, as we saw Egypt closing on $3 billion deal with the International Monetary Fund. The EGX soared. The Egyptian pound took a dive around 12%. Folks at Aza Finance released their weekly currency report for Africa and says there's still a bit of more room to the downside for the Egyptian pound in the days ahead. We'll see how the weekend will pace out for Egypt and see what happens on Sunday when the market reopens on the 30th of October. Then the GSE finished in the green yesterday, but slightly by just 0.03%. The Nairobi market continued its upward trajectory by roughly 0.75%, and the BRVM now above the 200 level, just by a few notches, 0.5%. That was your market briefing for Thursday. Let's grab a few headlines. The Central Bank of Kenya is selling about 56 billion shillings in infrastructure bond, a 14-year paper, which was announced yesterday. That will remain on the market until the first week of November. A new research report put together by Vodafone, Vodacom, and United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, shows that further or deeper penetration of mobile money or financial services could improve GDP and cut poverty by 2.6%. A survey of about 50 countries was done in Africa, Asia, and Latin America. And the report says deeper penetration, expansion of mobile money and financial services on the mobile digital wallet could help developing countries stay a bit one step away from poverty and improve their various GDP. That was a robust report just released on Thursday. In the meantime, the U.S. Deputy Secretary in charge of Agriculture, Brunel, as well as 32 agriculture and farm companies in the United States are heading to Kenya and Tanzania for a couple of days over the weekend. They're hosting a conference, a roadshow, sort of, to warm up relationship between United States and one of the regions with the food basket of the African continent that Kenya and Tanzania represent. The Ebola crisis, as well as inflationary pressure, will put further pressure on the Ugandan shillings in the near term. That's according to the weekly currency market report released by Aza Finance on Thursday. And finally, for East Africa and Tanzania's LNG liquefied natural gas project, when done, could provide as much as $15 billion revenue into the government coffers. That's roughly 53 or about 35 trillion local currency, by the way. That's according to a survey report released by Stanbic Bank. Beg your pardon. Let's get on with the West African market, where Nigerian currency slumped yesterday, 444, with a few notches above that. At the earning window, just as we saw that knee-jerk reaction to the news 2 days ago that the central bank is redesigning and reissuing 200, 500, and 1,000 naira notes effective December the 15th, and will be on the street alongside the ones being phased out until the end of January. And we're expecting a new cashless policy program from the central bank and the Nigerian authorities from that period onward. So keep an eye on Nigeria, quite a lot happening. In the meantime, we saw a deep dive in terms of interbank rates. Overnight money fell to about 15.3%. On Thursday, as we saw inflows of mature treasury bills, more than 100 billion into the market, and we'll see a bit more of currencies, in local currency pouring into the banks as central banks ask everyone to deposit what you've got. But of course, there are rules of engagement around that. KYC, know your customer, tracking illicit criminal fund, which the Anti-Graft Agency, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, and the central bank says they're working on. Yesterday, we got two new reports. The International Energy Agency releases World Energy Outlook for 2022 to 2050, as well as the State of Africa Energy Market released by the Africa Energy Chamber. According to NG Ayuk, who is the executive chairman of the Africa Energy Chamber, he said roughly $2 billion in deals were signed at the just concluded Africa Energy Week 2022 in Cape Town, which ended last week. For the first time, the largest deal by European Investment Bank on the African continent in telecommunications is coming to MTN Nigeria. 100 million euros is what the EIB is putting on the table to support the 4G network expansion of MTN Nigeria in Africa's largest economy and the most populated. And Zenith Bank, Nigeria's largest commercial bank, yesterday released its third quarter earnings. Earnings per share climbed 555 kobo. That was about 8.6. Growth, non-interest income came in about 10% better. Net profit came in at about 8.6% on year-on-year basis. Those earnings are being traded. We'll see market reaction to that on the final trading day. Also, a report coming through from Asa Finance says there could be a bit of a reprieve in the short term for the Ghanaian cedi because of inflows of about $250 million from the US aid, which will go into seed and fertilizer for agriculture in Ghana, as well as that $1.13 billion fund coming through to Cocoa Board to help the next planting season for the cocoa sector in Ghana. Those inflows in dollar terms could help relieve a bit of a pressure from the local currency unit. Keep those data in mind. Let's talk about South Africa. Earnings coming through. ABV InBev, earnings on the street. Anglo-American reporting numbers. Famous brands, which owns restaurants, including Steers, reporting South Africa. Those earnings are being traded as we speak. In the meantime, not so good news for the sugar producer, the troubled sugar producer, Tonga Goulet, who's reporting that he's going under voluntary business rescue because his financial status is very shaky. AB InBev, however, got its bearings right in the third quarter, reporting EBITDA, earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization of about 6.5%. That's roughly $5.31 billion. South Africans came back roaring, thirsty for alcohol and other form of drinks and beer after the lockdown restrictions on back of COVID-19. Those restrictions were well relaxed since the start of the new year. Zimbabwe's inflation came in yesterday, surprisingly a bit to the downside, 0.3% on a month-on-month basis. 3.5% was what we saw printed in September. That decelerated slightly to 3.2% in the month of October. And of course, we have South Africa, Mauritius, and Nigeria's retaining their top three positions as the most developed and the best financial markets on the African continent. And that's according to a latest report by ABSA. It's called the ABSA Financial Market Index for 2022. You can read it all up, the report, and see how other countries within the region, within the entire sub-Saharan Africa, are fared in the year under review. Okay, let's go to North Africa market space, where the OCP Group, which is the largest fertilizer producing company on the continent in Morocco, has gotten the approval of the government to establish two new subsidiaries towards the decarbonization that OCP is looking forward to. The two subsidiaries will allow the OCP Group to manage the water and energy that it uses for production of fertilizer. Sonatrach, Algeria, it says it's inked deal, $600 million extraction and transportation deal with some Italian companies to supply LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, which is called cooking gas, simply put, to Italy. And Asa Finance says it sees further decline in the Egyptian pound this week. The markets closed yesterday for the holiday today, sort of for the start of the weekend. Friday is the start of the weekend in Cairo. And the market will resume on Sunday. Spoke about the EGP earlier, slumping yesterday. As soon as that deal was done with the IMF, $3 billion US. That fresh loan will give Egypt a bit of a leeway, but comes out with some, stick on a carrot. Flexible exchange rate is demanded. That has been put in place. Egypt has to decelerate its debt. The target that the Minister of Finance was talking about was about 75% of the GDP. All of that in the package that Washington-based IMF has put on the table and crossed before handing over a $3 billion check to President Al-Sisi's administration. And that's the show. Have a great Friday. Enjoy your weekend, everyone, and see you back on Market Street on Monday, the 31st of October. I am Bosun Numafaya. Bye for now. I'll see you then.